What's up, guys? We are back. So as you can see, if you guys follow along on this channel or on this project, you guys will notice that in the last video I went ahead and I undercoated all the aprons, well, left and right aprons, and as you can see I had to take it off. So real quick, what ended up happening was after a few hours, after a few minutes actually, all this stuff should have dried up to the touch, and it did, except for the areas where all the seam sealer was. Now I went ahead and I contacted the company which I purchased it from, which was Eastwood. They told me to contact STEM, which is the actual manufacturer of the undercoating, and they just said that it was a chemical reaction that we should be putting some type of material with catalyst in here, which that's what I'm going to do now. So there was no other way around it. The material had to come off. So what I ended up doing was I ended up using acetone and a rag to wipe all the material off of the areas where only the seam sealer was. The rest of it still has the undercoating on there, and it's dry and it's hard. It's perfect. So I went ahead and I contacted Eastwood and I purchased these two cans here. The first one is in 2K Aerospray Epoxy Primer in black, and it is a 2-component catalyzed technology. As I mentioned, this is black in color. The item number for this one is 14790Z as in zebra. So that is that. That's what's going to get sprayed on all the seam sealer areas on both sides. And then the second one that I purchased is the 2K Aerospray Chassis Black, Satin Black. So that's basically just to get everything painted the same color. The idea is that what I actually really want to do is I want to use this epoxy primer to basically create a barrier between the seam sealer and whatever I'm going to put on top of it, which is going to be rubberized undercoating. Instead of using the one with the gun that I used last time, I ended up buying a spray can for it as well. So I'm gonna go see how that works. I'm gonna tread lightly this time. I'm gonna use the primer on all the whole entire area, all the primer, and I'm probably gonna just do a small section, maybe like say about that big, of the seam sealer, and then see how that reacts, because I wouldn't want to go ahead and spray the whole thing all over again and be in the same position, which kind of makes sense that this 2K catalyst primer, epoxy primer, should do the trick. Also in some areas where I was wiping it off, I did kind of wipe off a little bit too hard, and I did wipe off the epoxy primer off the actual metal. But this epoxy will give us that protection because that's exactly what it was, epoxy primer. So real quick, let me take you guys off the tripod and let me show you guys exactly where we sit. How basically I went ahead and I masked off all the holes. You can see some blue tape here and through all the holes, and then we'll go ahead and we'll start spraying this down. So just real quick, you can just see that's the driver's side. Any holes that I can see, I basically just put blue masking tape on it. That's just basically because if I'm going to be sprayed from the outside in, I don't want some of this overspray getting through the holes and getting into the engine bay. As you guys know, it's already been painted, so it looks really, really good right now. But yeah, shock towers, where all the fender clips go. And that is the driver's side, as you guys can see. All that has to get coated. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and set this on the tripod, and then we're going to go ahead and start shaking up the cans. We're going to go ahead and pop the bladder so we get the catalyst to mix with the primer, and we'll start laying down some primer. Alright, so we're going to start off with the Aerospray. I got the garage door open, so you guys might hear some cars zooming by. But instructions: shake can for at least 2 minutes to ensure particles are separated and distributed evenly. Remove the red button for the cap, which is this one right here. Basically put it at the bottom of the can right here. That pops the bladder. Shake can properly for at least 2 minutes so that the two components mix. Once activated, the pot life is about 48 hours. So let's take some time here. We're currently at 3:25 p.m. So I'm gonna go ahead and shake this up for 2 minutes. All right, after the 2 minutes is up, we'll take the cap off and put it down on the bottom. Basically, there's a little hole that goes on there. And they want you to put this down on a firm surface. I'll put it on the floor, push it down on it firmly, and as you guys can see, basically popped it. I'm gonna go for 2 more minutes. So and on this one you can move the tip, spin it around, and then basically you can figure out which way you want the fan to go. So come a little bit on the floor here, make sure we got the black coming out, which we do. So let's see here. Alright guys, so the time right now is 4:25. What I ended up doing is, instead of using the spray, hopefully you guys heard me earlier, instead of using the spray that I bought, I went ahead and I just used the original product that I did the whole entire fender weld with. Just because I didn't want any like difference in texture. So what I did here is I did one pass and I actually kind of liked it. I'm gonna hold off on doing everything, that way if for whatever reason this starts getting gummy again, I don't have to clean too much of it. I mean, this stuff dries pretty quick. So I'm not sure if it'll come up on camera, but what I did do is I just did this whole area here. It's about this width here. My seam sealer is only here. So the outside areas don't really bother me too much. I'm just looking to make sure that that center area is gonna dry. The epoxy primer did ask for 30 minutes to dry before top coating. I gave it, car passing by, I gave it 45 minutes. So it should be okay. All the other areas are obviously gonna get a little bit longer before this dries up. So I'm gonna go ahead and give this about 15 minutes to dry, 15-20 minutes, and I'll come back and I'll see exactly how it's drying up, and see if hopefully we've gotten rid of the whole tackiness or stickiness of the seam sealer issue going on. So I'll check up with you guys in about 20 minutes. All right, so I've let this dry for a little bit. It is now 5:13. So more than enough to let this dry. I just read the instructions, and for the undercoating, it says that it's paintable within 25 minutes. This is well over 25 minutes, and this is already 100 times better than how it was before. Before I would touch it, it would be all sticky, and we're talking about months, at least 3 months of it drying up. Well, never drying up, it never cured. So looks like I'm gonna go ahead and just recoat everything in this other material that I had to stem instead of the spray paint, and call that a win. So let me set this camera up a little bit farther away, and then I guess you guys can watch me. I guess I'm gonna go ahead and just respray everything. I mean, I've already wiped the whole entire area with Prep All. So I'm just gonna go ahead and redo everything, just to blend it a lot better, and then to hide the seam sealer a lot better. So yeah, let me just back this camera up a little bit, put a little bit more material in my gun, and then we'll go from there. so it is the next day. So I went ahead and sprayed this. I let this dry overnight. Actually, into the next day. It's about 9, 10 o'clock now. So as you guys can see, everything is great now. All these areas, like on this where all the seam sealers at, I'm not sure how it'll come up on camera, but all of this area that has seam sealer was all sticky. I was not able to run my hand across this without having anything on my hands. So my big concern before was that once this car went on the road, all the road debris and everything, I was gonna go ahead and get stuck on all the areas that weren't completely dry. And like I said, it's been 3 months and it still wasn't dry, so something had to be done. So, I mean, this is great. This is exactly how it should have been the first time. But I guess that's how we learn from our mistakes. Anyways, this video is getting a little bit too long, so from here on forward, I guess we can now start to work on the suspension, get everything thrown back on the car, get the car back on all fours since it's been on jack straps for a few months now. So it is very exciting that we can now move on to those stages. So if you guys stuck around this long, thank you guys so much for watching. Like always, comment, like, subscribe, or not. I mean, it's totally up to you guys. But yeah, I mean, it's good. Really like it. Alright guys, catch you guys on the next one. Peace.